Hey, I'm Becca with the Happy Ever Crafter, and this week I'm walking you through step-by-step how I create a super easy layout like this one that I use every week in my planner. Let's jump right in. All right, so two things to mention before we start. Number one is that this is sort of like a bullet journal, but also sort of not like a bullet journal. And I want to explain that a little bit. So I don't consider myself a bullet journaler, but I've learned about bullet journaling and I've tried bullet journaling. And I do draw my whole journal / planner by hand, as you can see in this flip through. So this is the past year in this journal and everything is done by hand. And I just do that because I've tried a bajillion different types of journals and planners and none of them work perfectly for me. Plus I enjoy making these layouts by hand. So I just want to clarify that this isn't a bullet journaling video. I'm not showing you how to bullet journal, but I am showing you how to do a weekly spread that is in line with what bullet journalers do, just a little bit tweaked to my liking. The second thing is that as far as tools go for this video, I always get questions about exactly what tools I'm using, and everything that I'm gonna use in this video, except for my journal, is part of my goodies box that I've created. So this is a custom box I designed full of stuff you'd need to create a journal exactly like mine. And I'm gonna link to it down below, but of course you can also totally recreate what I'm gonna be doing in this video with tools that aren't the exact same ones as this kit. But again, I'm gonna link to this down below if you're interested in any of the tools you see in this video. They're all inside this box. Okay, so basically what I'm doing in this video is I'm creating my spread for my planner for the week. And I've tried a million different layouts. I've tried lots of different weekly spreads. And this is the one that I just settled on, and I'm really happy with the way that I've tweaked it. And this is exactly what I do every single week to recreate it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut this middle page in half, and you're gonna see why in a second. But the first thing basically is just fold this page in half. You can use scissors for this if you want to, but I just find it's totally fine to kind of score it with my nails and then rip it gently, of course. And now this gives me a little bit more room, so now I can write on here and on here. So now I've got like this extra half of a page to work with. The second thing I'm gonna do right off the bat is I'm taking this tape. This is custom designed tape that I've made for the goodies box, but if you wanna do this without the tape, you can just doodle. An example of that, if I flip through my own journal here, this is the border that I usually draw on the bottom of my journals, and this tape that I've designed just essentially is gonna recreate that without having to spend the time drawing the flowers. So I'm just gonna rip this tape and stick it along the bottom edge of my page. This is like my favorite item of the goodies box. It's so awesome. I make sure to like stick it into the corner there and continue it to the edge of this ripped page. And then I'm gonna rip it there. I like to just use the edge of my ruler, pull it. Then you can use the ruler to like push it down nice and tight there too. So now I've got this border on this side, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other page. Okay, so now I have this really pretty floral border along the bottom, and oftentimes if I was to be drawing this by hand, I would do that last, but because it's tape and I wanna be able to make sure that I have enough room at the bottom for it, I'm sticking it on first. So up to you what order you wanna do that in. If you wanna just kind of see how much room you have left on your page and then fill it with doodles, that's fine. But if you have the goodies box and you have this tape, I recommend doing it first. So now I have my pages laid out, I have my border on, and I'm gonna start with my highlighter. These are the Mild Liner Favorites set from my goodies box. They're essentially just zebra mild liners. And I've chosen like my favorite colors and we put them together into a custom set for the goodies box. So a mild liner, if you don't know what it is essentially just a highlighter, but these are really kind of mild colors, so they don't distract from your layout. They really just add to it and make it pretty. So I'm gonna use this pretty blue one. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to highlight where I'm gonna want my my divider lines basically, or like accent lines. And the way I know exactly where I want to put them is because I've done this layout so many times. So if I find an example back in my own journal here. So for example, on this page, I know that I want this much room for my days of the week and my priority squares. And then I know I'm going to want that much of these highlighted lines. So just from trial and error, I know exactly how much I want to do, and I'm going to walk you through what I do here. I know that I want 2 lines for each hour of the day so that I can fill out what I'm doing the whole day. So I break this down by hours. So if I take this page as my example and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines, and then that's where my highlights start. I'm going to do the same thing on this page. So I have my mild liner pen and my Happy Ever Crafter ruler. This comes in the kit as well. And I'm basically just going to count those 8 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make myself a little mark there. And then I'm going to start with my highlighter and my ruler, highlighting 2 lines at a time and then skipping 2 lines. Okay, so I've done that all the way down to the bottom of the page, and now I'm gonna do the same thing on this middle piece. And then once I get to this last page, I'm gonna walk you through what to do here. Okay, so I filled out the majority of this, but now I wanna point out one little thing. And again, this is something I know just from having done this layout so many times. I know I'm gonna have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then this row, I'm actually gonna split a little bit for the weekend and a little bit for my to-do list. So again, if I show you that on a past one, I don't want my highlighter lines to go all the way over to the edge, because this is gonna be my spot for the weekend and this is gonna be my spot for the to-do. So I only wanna do it to halfway on this part. So I'm gonna make a little mark where my halfway page ends, and I'm gonna just do the highlights to that spot. One thing to note as I'm working through this too is just that if you are brand new to doing these layouts, there's nothing wrong with making yourself marks with a pencil beforehand. I know how to do this one really well because I've done it so many times in this journal. And if you want, you can just copy exactly what I'm doing. But as you're working on stuff like this, it's definitely a lot easier to put some marks in pencil for yourself beforehand so that you don't, automatically go onto it with pen and then screw up. Okay, so I've got my page all set with my lines, and now I'm ready to put on some divider lines with my black pen. So I have a Micron size 05 here. I'm gonna use that for my divider lines. And again, if we go back to that example page that I've been showing, basically what I'm adding in here now are these divider lines. And I'm just gonna use this page as my template, and I'm gonna count exactly where those lines go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots down is the first line, and then 8 dots down is the next one. So I'm gonna draw those in. Okay, so here's my line at the 6th dot, and my line at the 8th. So I've got those vertical lines or horizontal lines drawn, and now I'm gonna draw the vertical ones. So going back to my example, I know I wanna just do one in the middle of this page and one in the middle of this page, and then this spot is broken up a little differently. I'm gonna draw a line all the way down the middle. So now I've got both pages already. All these sections are made for my daily pieces, and I'm just gonna finish this spot off here. Now I'm realizing that I actually screwed this up and I brought my highlighter out too far, but it actually, you know what? It looks okay. Normally I would want that line to line up right underneath, but it's not a big deal. So here, I know I don't need as big of a day section for my weekend, so I'm actually just gonna put in this line here and split it in half. So now that's my Saturday and that's my Sunday. And this is gonna be a space for my to-do list. So just from having done this so many times, I know that I always want a big spot for my to-do list, but if that doesn't suit you, totally fine. You could have a whole column for your weekends. Now I'm gonna take my smaller Micron pen, my 01, and I'm gonna put in the small words and the hours of the day. So in this top box, I use this box for my priorities. So if I have a big priority I have to get done that day, I'll put it at the top so I know kind of day by day what my one big thing is, and then I break it down by hour. So I'm just writing priority. And then I'm gonna go down each of these rows and label the hours of the day. So my day usually starts at 6 a.m. I'm gonna start with that. So 6, 7, oops, put that one in the wrong spot. Quick note, I always have whiteout on hand because it's inevitable that I make mistakes like this. So I'm just gonna pop a little whiteout on there. And it never happened. All right, I've got the whole main layout done now, and basically what I would have done in the past is I would have taken my brush pen and written all the days of the week here. So if you don't have the goodies box and you don't have what I'm about to show you, feel free to do that with your brush pen. But for now, I'm gonna show you the part that I'm super excited about, which is these custom stamps that I've created. So they're a little bit messy right now because I've used them, but these are the days of the week stamps, and they come in the goodies box, and so does this acrylic stamping block and this little ink pad. So basically all I'm gonna do, and this is super quick and really handy if you don't know calligraphy yourself, is I'm gonna pop the Monday on there. I'm gonna take my ink, fill it up, and then I'm gonna center it above that day. And stamp it on. And it looks exactly like it would have if I had done this by hand. So there's Monday. I'm gonna do the same thing for each day of the week. One thing I'll say as well, as you're working through this, like if I just did this Wednesday stamp, I wanna make sure it's really dry before I turn this page over and stamp my Thursday. So I'm actually gonna stamp my weekend here first. And then again, make sure Wednesday's really dry before you flip the page over. Now we've got the days of the week, we have the hours of the day, we have all the lines in. The last couple things I want to do are fill up this to-do section, and to do that I'm going to take one of the black brush pens out of the brush pens favorites set, and I'm basically just going to write to-do in block letters right here and kind of fill up this space. These I don't try to make too perfect. I kind of try and make them whimsical and fun. Just some bigger, bolder block letters. And this doesn't have to be a brush pen. I'm not doing any fancy calligraphy or anything with it. I'm just using it to make some bolder, thicker lines. Then I'm gonna go back to my 0.1 micron, and I'm gonna take the stencil that I have in the goodies box, and I'm gonna do some check boxes. So in here, I have some pre-made check boxes, and it makes it really easy to space them accordingly. So I'm just putting these where I want them on the page, and I'm gonna use them for the perfect spacing of my to-do list. And then to spice that up a little bit, I'm gonna take the 0.8 micron that's in the box, and I'm gonna just add a little drop shadow on the bottom and the right side of each box. Super easy, just a little L shape, backwards L shape, I guess. And if you feel like it, you can dress up these to-do letters here. So I'm gonna do a little 3D effect on them. Now I know that says Todo, but it's only for me to use, and I know it says to do. Lastly, I'm gonna just add a little Saturday on this square and a Sunday on this square. You know, I'm gonna add a little bit extra here. At the top, I'm going to add on the date in a little circle on each of these. So my stencil has these circles here, and I can use them to make circles of all the exact same size. So above each of these calligraphy words, I want to put a little circle with the numbered date on it. And I'm using my 0.8 micron pen, the thickest one. And I'm just gonna trace these circles. Now, a stencil obviously can't have that connected, so it's got this little gap that you just need to go in and fill afterwards. And then do the same thing over every day. Trying to keep them centered, but knowing it's not a big deal if they're not perfect. What I love about the bullet journals is that no matter what you do, it looks awesome. And it looks really fancy to the average person. And so now I'm gonna fill in those circles in black. I'm gonna just do this quickly with a brush pen. Doesn't have to be a brush pen, you can use any pen you want here. Trying to stay in the lines a little better than I am. Another note too is that I'm using a Loic term. I learned how to say that journal name. And these pages aren't super thick, so you can see some of the stamping and some of the brush pens bleeding through a little bit. Another really great option for journals, if you're looking for one, is the Archer and Olive journal. They have really nice thick pages, and they hold up well to stuff like this. So if you're gonna be doing lots of stamping and even painting and stuff in your journal, those are a great option. You'll notice that I'm leaving the weekend one without a dot. I just don't want to put 2 dots there. I don't love the look of that, and I don't usually care what the date is on the weekend. So I've got these little circles, and now I'm gonna take my Jelly Roll pen, which is in the goodies box, and it's a white gel pen. Doesn't have to be this one. It can be any white gel pen you want, and I'm gonna write the numbers of the dates on here. All right, here's a good example. I didn't wait for that to dry before I flipped my page over, and now these are smudgy. So I'm gonna wait for them to fully dry, and then I'm gonna go over them with my brush pen again, and then I'm gonna go over them with my white gel pen again. Not something I can't fix, but just because I was trying to go too fast for this video, that smudge happened. So make sure you don't do that. Let things dry, take your time in between. But there you have it, my weekly spread. So again, there are so many different ways you could do this weekly spread, but this is one that I've really worked out that works really well for me, and I hope it works well for you too. The last thing I want to say is if you are curious about what's inside this goodies box, because there is a bunch of stuff that I didn't get to show in the video, including a journal and some rub-ons and some more tape, a pencil case, some sticky notes, lots more stuff in there. If you're curious about that, I have a whole video doing an unboxing of this, walking you through what each item is and how to use them. So I'll link to that one next, and I'll see you over there.